In December 2014, Northern Ireland passed a bill making it the latest country to penalize those who buy sex instead of those who sell it. This kind of legislation against prostitution was first introduced in 1999 in Sweden to great success. Many countries have since followed their example. So what are the prostitution laws like around the world, and should prostitution be legal? Well, first of all, prostitution still...
Här jobbar Tom. Han har nog Sveriges enklaste jobb. Han serverar nämligen Sveriges godaste hamburgare till Sveriges mest nöjda gäster.
Okej, vi ska ha 37 stycken maxburgare. 12 med extra cheddarost, 6 utan lök. Ja, vänta lite.
Så grattis Tom till Sveriges enklaste jobb. Prova nya chili and cheese. Max, Sveriges godaste hamburgare. Här jobbar Tom. Han har nog Sveriges enklaste jobb. Han serverar nämligen Sveriges godaste hamburgare till Sveriges mest nöjda gäster.
Okej, vi ska ha 37 stycken maxburgare. 12 med extra cheddarost, 6 utan lök. Ja, vänta lite.
Så grattis Tom till Sveriges enklaste jobb. Prova nya chili and cheese. Max, Sveriges godaste hamburgare.
In March 2015, the federal government launched an investigation into a possible lynching in rural Mississippi. The event instigated new scrutiny towards hate crimes and the Ku Klux Klan. So what is the Ku Klux Klan? Well, it's an American hate group, also known as the KKK, that generally promotes the supremacy of the Christian Caucasian ethnicity. They operate primarily in the southern region and are infamous for using extreme torture and violence to oppress other races, especially African Americans. The group was founded in 1866 at the close of the American Civil War and the early days of the Southern Reconstruction. During this time, African American slaves became legally free, but many ex-slaveholders sought to maintain pre-Civil War conditions and intimidate African Americans into submission. From this time until around the Civil Rights era in the 1950s, racist Jim Crow laws were enforced exclusively by KKK vigilantes, and any person who tried to upset the status quo could be tortured and killed. Ku Klux Klan members originally were distinguished only by cross-like insignias and hoods or masks covering their faces. But in the early 20th century, KKK uniforms evolved into a standardized white costume with a peaked hood. This and the burning cross remained the two archetypal symbols for the group today. During the 1920s, the group experienced a peak popularity of more than 4 million members after the release of the pro-KKK film, The Birth of a Nation. However, the Great Depression in the 1930s depleted their ranks, as did an IRS tax dispute in the 1940s. Although there was a brief resurgence in popularity during the 1950s, generally the KKK's influence recently has been on the decline. As of 2015, the group claims a total membership of 4,000 to 6,000. They live mostly in southern states, especially Mississippi, South Carolina, and total membership of 4,000 to 6,000. They live mostly in southern states, especially Mississippi, South Carolina, and Texas. Today, some chapters of the KKK claim that they are not a hate group, but rather a nonviolent Christian organization that disagrees with the way America is changing politically. One Klan leader in Montana is even claiming that his chapter is all-inclusive and open to recruiting non-white members. Still, other Klan groups have increased their ranks by joining forces with neo-Nazi groups and holding rallies to express racist and anti-immigration views. Despite their attempts at rebranding, the core foundation of the Ku Klux Klan remains white supremacy. And as their membership dwindles, it is unlikely that they will ever return to their former numbers. Experts at the Southern Poverty Law Center who track U.S. hate groups have claimed the KKK is having its last gasp as an influential organization in America. Since the end of World War II, and even till today, Germany has enforced an incredibly strong policy against anything related to Nazi forces, with neo-Nazi being the core foundation of the Ku Klux Klan last gasp. To learn
Ja, men problemet är att det är så galet billigt. Men hur ska vi säga det?
Kan vi inte bara säga crazy days?
En tystgående...
The copyright on Adolf Hitler's autobiographical manifesto, Mein Kampf, expires at the end of this year, and Munich's Institute of Contemporary History is making plans to republish the text for the first time in Germany since 1945. The reason for this long lapse in publication is that Germany has spent the last 70 years attempting to distance itself from the disgraced Nazi regime. It has done this by instituting a number of laws and public policies heavily restricting references to Nazi symbolism and propaganda. So what are Germany's anti-Nazi laws? Well, in the years following the fall of the Nazis, American occupying forces confiscated all media in Germany that supported the Nazi Party. They also destroyed all German military and Nazi memorials, with the exception of tombstones, along with any related artwork. Since wiping the slate clean, the German government included a list of directives banning all Nazi-era symbols. The laws restrict the creation, dissemination, storage, and importation of any unconstitutional political party's media, particularly the Nazi Party. It also bans any flags, insignia, uniforms, slogans, and forms of greeting associated with those parties. However, the law makes a distinction in the context of art, science, research, education, and journalism. And although there is not an exhaustive ban list, it is generally considered to include in one form or another swastikas, the Celtic cross, the solar cross, the SS emblem, the Odal rune, Wolf's Angel, the Nazi war flag, the greeting Sieg Heil, Heil Hitler, singing the national anthem, or saying the Nazis' motto. It is also illegal to deny the Holocaust, and this could lead to imprisonment. Despite the understandable strictness of this ban, there have been some unintended consequences. In 2006, the use of anti-fascist symbols which featured a crossed-out swastika were deemed illegal, as violations of the ban, despite their obviously opposite purpose. In order to paint the absurdity of this interpretation, a member of the legislative branch turned herself in to the German police for having displayed the crossed-out swastika during an anti-neo-Nazi rally. In 2007, the German government clarified that this particular symbol was clearly not pro-Nazi propaganda and would be exempt. Even though these anti-Nazi laws exist, the German government has only banned 2 political parties in its history, despite the resurgence of a neo-Nazi political party in German parliament. As a democratic nation, Germany has long been struggling to prevent its history from reoccurring, while attempting to allow for freedom of speech. The republication of this heavily annotated version of Mein Kampf is a clear example of Germany's balancing act between the importance of historical documentation and the explicit disapproval of their shameful past. Even with Germany's ban on Nazi propaganda, Nazism is on the rise in Europe. Check out a video to learn more.
What is causing this reemergence of National Socialism?